In the comments of my last video, a couple people had asked if maybe I can do a real quick rundown on my off-grid system. So we'll do that here. If anything you see you want a little bit deeper dive on my channel, there is a playlist titled Homestead Infrastructure, which has videos I've done on each of these things in a little bit deeper detail. Now keep in mind that none of this was really meant to be permanent. Okay, I bought this land out of state, which had no infrastructure, no utilities on it whatsoever. So I needed to devise some solutions in order to come out here and just survive as simply as possible. So what I've done here is just simply one possible solution of many that could have been done, but it worked for me. So I'm not putting these out there because I think it's the best way. It's just a possible solution for you to consider for whatever your circumstances are. Keep in mind that you do have local laws that might limit what you can and can't do. I specifically bought in a state and county where they have no building codes and they don't care about this kind of thing. So that's exactly what I wanted, so I could do this. But you got to do your homework first before you do anything, and make sure you don't get yourself into trouble. And whenever I do videos like this, there's always people that comment, well, you should be doing this or that instead. And I know, I totally get it. But just try to keep in mind that I have like 1,000 things that need addressed out here. So if I can do something to the point where it works sufficiently enough, I got to call it good and then go and put my time and effort towards all the other things that are not working for me. And then in a future date, I can always come back and improve on what I've done, upgrade things. Because I think that's kind of the way homesteading works. You're never totally done. You know, you're always working on ways to develop your systems. And you should be thinking in terms of systems, not just stuff and things, working systems, what works for you and what doesn't. So let's go take a look. So first things first, I needed water. So the simplest way I can think of to do that was to simply hang up tarps to collect rainwater down to a rain barrel. And that's worked pretty good for me so far. There's issues I'll get into in a minute with them, but for the most part, these 5 setups, each barrel being 50 gallons, has given me about 250 gallons. It has kept me as supplied as one person needs. This summer, we did have a span of almost a month where there wasn't any substantial rainfall, and I was getting pretty low and cutting it close. So I am going to be adding more, and I'll show that. And also, hope it's in the shot here, but I've got these motion sensor lights I hang up, I think about 10 of them. So at night, they put off a small amount of light, and then as you walk in front of the sensor, it brightens up for a good 20 seconds. So that's been pretty good, strategically locating them so at night I can walk around the places I need to and do what I need to. And that's worked good so far. I'm pretty happy with those. All of the structures I've been building, I've been putting metal roofs on to collect rainwater off of down to a gutter that I can then run to collection barrels. One thing I did not like about the current rain barrels I've got is that they're mostly enclosed. So there's really not much way I can get in there and clean them out. And a lot of the water holding tanks that I see at the store are the same way, where they're mostly closed in except for the small point at the top for the water to go in and out of. And so I've been looking for a way that I can still clean them, because some people would say, well, you know, just stick a hose in there and then douche it on out. But I don't have that kind of water pressure. I don't have that luxury. And a lot of people would just put chemicals in there to kill any bacteria. But again, poisoning my water is one of the reasons why I wanted to get off of using the municipal water supply. So I don't want to just go from being dependent on the water company to then being dependent on the chemical companies. So I'm trying to find a more simplistic way that I can clean these out. So I was looking at these livestock water tanks, and I like this because it's open top. So I will build a cover, so it's closed in, the light's not getting in there and helping keep the water filtered and bugs and that out of it. But I like this because I can pull the top off, and need be, I can just get in there and scrub it out and keep it nice and clean whenever need be. So I'm going to give this a try, see how that works out for me. They came drilled and tapped, but they're drilled and tapped so you can put a spigot in there. So I'm thinking I'll just raise it up on a platform high enough that I can slide buckets and barrels up underneath the spigot there. So I was very happy with this. I think these were 89 bucks. Isn't a bad price. So I grabbed 2 of them, and I'm kind of thinking ahead of how many roofs and structures I'm going to need. And I'm thinking I'm going to go back and buy all these that I want because, hey, at that price, we all know nothing's getting cheaper. So I might as well buy all the ones I'm going to want now and have them. Because, I mean, good hard plastic for 89 bucks like that it's kind of a good deal. So I'm going to give this a try. And this is all my water collection for the most part is for wash water. Okay, my drinking water I've been buying at the store because for the time being, drinking water's pretty cheap. It's not a big deal. If times came to the point where I had to drink here, I do have the ability to just take this water. I have separate filtration where I would run it through the filtration and boil it and make it drinkable. But most of it is just primarily for just my wash water, which doesn't need to be potable. And again, it's one of those things where I just want to worry about collecting the water as best as I can, and then down the line I'll worry about how I'm going to make it drinkable. It's work in progress. I've been taking the water from the rain barrels and putting them in these little buckets, and then this is what I use for my actual washing. Like when I do dishes, I will scrub the dish out by hand and then use this to rinse it all off. And it's not my favorite way of doing dishes, but it does get the job done. And even when I wash my hands, I will put it between my legs so then I can do my washing like that. And I'm telling you, be thankful you have a working sink at home. That's an amazing luxury, because doing this simple like this out here kind of really sucks. I've been doing my laundry in town simply just out of convenience. I do have a couple of these galvanized tubs, washboards, and then clothesline and clothespins for hanging. And when I gave it a try, it does work. I mean, I can wash my clothes if need be out here. This especially is fine for lighter items like socks, underwear, and t-shirts and that. But it's really tough with like heavier stuff, jeans and towels, and especially the bedding. That was really hard to wash, and then hang that stuff to dry takes forever. So for the time being, like I said, I don't want to be spending entire days just on doing clothes. So going to the laundromat, I can just get it knocked out real quick. I am going to work on building a dasher style washer. There's a few videos on here about how to do that. I'll post one from a friend of mine that built one. I'll put a link to it in the description so you can see kind of how that's done, how an off-grid dasher washer is. And another thing is when you do that, it uses a ton of water. So again, I'm trying to first get myself to having an excess of water available to me. If I can get that problem solved first, then I can worry about doing my laundry out here, because I'll be sure that I have plenty and won't have to worry about it. For refrigeration, I've been using this cooler here. I did invest in a little bit nicer cooler because a lot of the cheaper coolers meant for overnight camping are real thin, but this one has nice thick walls that are actually insulated. So it holds ice pretty long. It was nice over the course of the winter because I could go like a full week on putting ice in there. So that was convenient because if I just happened to go out in town to get something, I just made sure on the way home I grabbed some ice. But now with the hotter temperatures in the summer here, it's more like every other day I gotta grab for it. So it is what it is. I can't wait to wean off of that because when I build the next room addition onto the cabin, I'm going to install the more permanent solar power system and put an actual fridge attached into that so I won't have to worry about ice anymore. It's going to be nice. I try to keep it in the deep shade as much as possible, and of course I'm filming it at the one time of the day where there's some sun filtering through on it, but no, I don't doctor up these videos. What you see is what you get. So I prefer to show you the good, bad, and the ugly of this lifestyle. And as far as cooking goes, the only way I really have to cook food is over an open fire. I don't have a microwave or anything like that, and it's obviously too hot to fire up the wood burner inside the cabin, so it's just over open fire. So it's actually kind of a rare treat for me to eat something warm like that. Most of the time I just eat everything cold. It's, you know, this isn't for everybody, but when you put in the tough circumstances, you just got to make do. And that's just one of the things I've had to do is eat cold like that. I think a lot of people envision, oh yeah, cooking over the campfire every day for dinner and breakfast and everything like that. I mean, sure, if you want to spend your entire day cooking and working fires and cleaning up that mess and everything, have at it. But for me, I got just too much on my plate to worry about. So it's just easier to just eat something cold, get it done with, and move on and get things done. You know that after eating some cold meals out of the cooler, that what goes in must come out. Now, there is one restriction that the state of Arkansas has on this lifestyle is that there are no outhouses allowed. And any property under 10 acres is required to have a inspected septic system installed for residential use. Being that I'm fortunate enough to have 21 acres, I don't have to have that installed, which is good. That saved me a ton of money, tens of thousands of dollars. So instead of that expensive septic system, I spent about $100 and made a compost toilet. Now I am going to link in the description the video for this one because I believe as far as preparedness is concerned, having a compost toilet is probably about one of the best things you can do. And I'm also going to link, there's another channel called Miscellaneous Me that did a compost toilet video recently that was really good. And I'd suggest checking her channel out. Her off-grid homesteading stuff is really good material, I think. So check her out. But these are designed, for those that don't know, to fit a 5-gallon bucket. So it fits in there and operates just like a regular toilet. I'm still on my first bag of pine shavings like you get from the feed stores, what I've been using as the carbon material to mix in with your waste. And being still on that first bag, which was under $10, that's a pretty good deal. Now I am a guy, so I pee outside. So I'm only using this when I drop a deuce. A woman is going to be using it for number one and number two, so she's going to use a lot more materials and fill up the bucket a lot quicker. So that's something to keep in mind. Now you see all around me, all the ground's covered in all this pine shavings. So at some point I'm going to try raking a bunch of it up and dry it out and then try using that mixed in with it just to see, you know, maybe I can use that and it'll work out well instead of the pine and save me some money and just use material that I collect here on the property. But yeah, I can't stress enough. Like this is a total savior for survival purposes. If you are a prepper, you need to build yourself a compost toilet, okay? That way, when the zombie apocalypse kicks off, everything's in chaos. At least you'll be able to pinch a loaf, you know? Shower bags. In the morning, I fill them up and set them out in the sun to start warming up. And then as the day goes on, actually in these warm temperatures of the summer, they'll get scalding hot. So then I'll put them in the shade for a little while until it's time for me to take my shower. I prefer these 3 gallon size. Most of the common ones you see are 5 gallons, but I think those are just way too heavy to get up in the place. Because it's not just the weight of the bag, it's once you have it lifted, you need to be able to manipulate it over your hanging position. So I like 3 gallons or less, and I just use 2 of them. So on when I'm a lightly soiled day, I try to just use 3 gallons from one of them, but I do warm up 2 of them just in case because when you get really filthy dirty, I mean you just need more water to wash off. Like if I'm out in the brush clearing and cutting down trees, you're just going to need more. So I'd say I probably average about 4 gallons a day, depending for my shower purposes. This is my fancy outdoor shower. I had built a little structure around it with a tarp because in the winter it was cold. And yes, I did shower outdoors all winter long. It was quite an experience to learn from. But the tarp helped block the wind down, and having the warm color out actually collected the sun. So I would close this up and buckle it up. It would like hot box in there. So then when I was ready to go in there for a shower, it was like much warmer than the outside ambient temperature. But I basically just put down like a layer of river rock and then put down one of these anti-fatigue mats that my dad had in his garage and wasn't using. So that allows me to stand out of the mud and still not on the rocks so it doesn't hurt as much. And just hang my bag up in there and take the shower. Bucket for a shelf. Fancy stuff. Gets the job done though. For electricity, I use this little solar generator. That's all the power I get. You charge it up by setting these solar panels out. It's foldable up in the like briefcase size, and you set it up out in the sun and plug it into the generator and it charges it up. It's nice. Only takes a few hours on a fully sunny day. And then from there, I can just plug in all my electronic devices into there. I don't have a lot to work with, but I charge my phone so I can make these videos, and then like electric toothbrush and hair clippers and beard and mustache trimmer, which I probably about due to put into use again. But then I even have like a portable Blu-ray player, so I can plug that in a couple times a week. I can watch a movie or something to get a little escape from reality for a while. But it's worked. It's worked so far. One of my favorite things I can plug into it is this lantern. This has been a lifesaver for me. Just recharges plugging it in there. So it comes with a little hook on it. So I just, in the cabin in each room, I put a little eye hook to hang this on there. So each room has one. And I read tons of books. So being able to recharge this lantern and have lighting all hours of the night is just fantastic. It's primitive the way I've done everything, but one of my favorite things about having tried this lifestyle is it's been like an experiment to see just how simply and primitively I can get by. So into the future, as I have more permanent and more convenient setups, at least I know I have the know-how. I could always, if the situation called for, I can go back to being more primitive because I know how to do it already and I have the equipment on hand. So I hope some of this might help you guys out, and if not, even if it's maybe just a little bit of entertainment for you to see how my unique lifestyle is.